So much, Rob. Now, just going back to the story in Zambia, Zambian police have appealed to citizens of that country to refrain from expressing their frustration through protesting on the streets. And this comes after Zambia's Electoral Commission confirmed that Hakainde Hichilema had won last week's presidential election. Hichilema took an early lead over his main rival, the incumbent President Edgar Lungu, who has alleged that Thursday's poll was marred by violence in 3 key provinces and was neither free nor fair. And to get a glimpse of the country's newly elected president, let's take a look at this interview which he did 3 years ago with SABC's international editor Sophie Mokoena. At the time, he had lost an election to now outgoing President Edgar Lungu, and I think the losing margin was about 100,000 votes or so. Right, apologies. Just seemed to have a slight technical problem on that interview that Sophie Mokoena did with now President-elect of Zambia, Hakainde Hichilema, and his party of course, winning that election last week, and seemingly about 2.8 plays 1.8 against the incumbent Edgar Lungu, as announced by the Electoral Commission. I believe that interview is now ready, so let's take a look at it.
In Zambia, political side, as you know, we run a political party. We are seeking public office, so it's very important that when we are in a jurisdiction like this one, we do engage colleagues in this sphere of life, the political side. We also engage with those who do business with Zambia or in Zambia, investors, those who do trading activities in Zambia. It's very important that we make them aware of what we know, which by and large could help in their decision making, especially to continue doing business in Zambia is very important, so that we as citizens of Zambia can utilize those investments together with domestic investments to create the much needed jobs in our country, to create the much needed business opportunities in our country and for our people is very, very important. But also remember, Zambia is part of the Southern African Development Community, which is a League of Nations that do believe in, amongst many things, the rule of law, that believe in respecting human rights, liberties and freedoms, that believe in having truly independent election, free, fair, credible elections, so that citizens of Zambia, citizens of the region, can use those moments to select leaders that will advance the economic agenda for our respective countries, and also to share what we believe are common traits that should apply in Zambia, such as, if you like, peace and stability. Peace and stability as a platform, or if you like, use that as a platform for economic development. Economic development cannot happen without investments. And we as citizens of Zambia, residents of Zambia, understand and should understand that we can only advance our country, advance our region through investment, supporting investments, domestic, regional and international. These are very important issues. Sometimes they are given lesser importance in our media, in our day-to-day conversations, but I think they're very important. Otherwise, how do you create jobs? How do you create business opportunities for our people? How do you improve households? How do you alleviate poverty? Very important.
Is the climate conducive for political activities in your country currently?
Absolutely not. I think it's something some of you in the media are already aware, that we do not have basic fundamental human rights, liberties and freedoms. It is quite challenging today if you are in opposition, true opposition. I mean, I don't mean the surrogates, so parties that are surrogates of the ruling, those ruling clique. But it's difficult to have freedom of assembly, to organize meetings without being constrained by the police or state agencies, security agencies, to have freedom of speech, to have even the freedom of conscience. We've seen more often than not that certain churches or church leaders are not allowed to even enter our country. This is strange, really, when we are supposed to have free movement of people, not just within Zambia, but within the region. So that is the situation obtaining. But coupled with that is where we have a breakdown in the rule of law. Where the judiciary is constrained. As you know, judiciary is a very, very important aspect of our lives, be it in South Africa, be it in Zambia, or indeed other parts of the world. It's very important to have an independent arm of government called the judiciary. It's very important to have an independent arm of government called parliament. And you should know that better. The way your parliament conducted itself, the way your judiciary conducted itself during the run-up to the changes of leadership in your own country here in South Africa to replace former President Jacob Zuma with President Ramaphosa was very cardinal. That these arms of government, two arms of government, were able to check we who are in the political arena. I mean a freer judiciary, a freer parliament, very critical, not only to South Africa, but to all of us in the region, including Zambia.
Are the talks still continuing in Zambia to try and find a solution to the challenges facing the country?
Well, I think this engagement, I'm sure you're talking about what we have come to call the dialogue process in our country. Truly it was, if you like, initiated as a result of the way some of us were brutally arrested and detained and treated inhumanly within the period of detention, including many more. I must always remember and mention to the region that there are many more citizens who are today in our country political detainees, political prisoners. Something we thought would never happen post the 1991 multi-party elections. But, we have unfortunately returned to those dark days of political detainees and prisoners. Now, as I was released from prison, it was a clear understanding that we will engage in a dialogue process that will restore normalcy in our country, will take out those conditions that led to most of us being detained without crimes that committed. So and basically the dialogue was there to to ensure that no one goes to jail without due process of investigation. No one is kept in jail without seeing a day in court, having a day in court, and no one is kept in those jails that are death chambers unduly. Even those who committed crimes are supposed to be treated with humane approach, even in prison. So the dialogue process was well meant, raised hopes that we will restore the rule of law through the dialogue process. We will restore human rights, liberties and freedoms. We will end political violence by and large, including the unprofessional conduct of the police. We will have truly independent electoral commission which will deliver free, fair, credible elections. And that is an environment that will bring about peace and stability and hopefully a platform for growth, for investment. This has not happened. I think most of the citizens' hopes have been dashed. There's a slowness in various angles, from various angles. There's accusation and counter-accusations that no, it's our party that doesn't want dialogue, no, it's a ruling party that doesn't want dialogue, setting conditions for dialogue, which were never there in the first place. So I think our view as a party is that let's get on with the dialogue process. It is important to our country, it is important to this region that we have stability in Zambia, because instability in Zambia has a negative effect on South Africa, on other countries in the region, as we saw it in Zimbabwe. When Zimbabwe was unstable, it created unnecessary pressures here arising from, for instance, immigration, because Zimbabweans were leaving their country because it was unsafe. Flooded South Africa. We would not be far from the truth to say the xenophobic behavior that we saw was arising from the pressures of Zimbabweans coming into South Africa and assumed to have taken jobs that South Africans should have ordinarily, occupied. And that's not good for a country like South Africa to be caught up with xenophobic acts when South Africa itself is a product of regional support during the anti-apartheid struggle. As you know, ANC was headquartered in Zambia, and the Zambians, poor Zambians, supported the democratic changes in this country and paid dearly, including dying for the democratic changes in South Africa. So the reverse should be equally true now that South Africa is in this privileged position, how being the largest economy in the region, and also obviously for many other natural and other factors, really has a strategic responsibility to drive stability in this region and to drive, you know, intra-regional investments in this region, and therefore, you know, a better opportunity for the lives of our people through jobs, through business opportunities. This is an inescapable responsibility that South Africa and all of us in this region have to do the correct things, to meet the bare minimum, you know, conditions that will promote growth of the economy and improve the lives of our people.